Hey, and welcome back to another video in my Vintage Tech Showcase playlist. And what I have here today is the Nokia E71 from 2008. So the E71 is a business phone from 2008. Let me go ahead and turn this thing on. Actually, let's turn it off and so you can see me turn it on again, and you can see the Nokia logo, the boot up screen. So let's turn it on. There's another one over here. This one doesn't really work properly because this button is missing, and it does turn on, but I only have one battery for these things. This one also occasionally doesn't like to turn on. Well, now it does. But at this age, you can expect them having trouble turning on and stuff like that. So here is the Nokia welcome note. I'm pretty sure I have the volume on this phone because usually I have the volume down. Okay, so there we are. Led Zeppelin. What is it? It's not done that before. I don't know. Led Zeppelin's a band. I don't know why that showed up, but whatever. So like I said, it's a phone from 2008. It's a E-series, obviously business phone, so business oriented phone. These were quite pricey back in the day. I can't really remember the pricing for this phone, but as I could imagine, it was close to $200, $300, $400 back in the day. I don't know, around $300. And that may not seem that much, but back in 2008, $300 was a lot for a phone. The iPhone 2G was $400 when it was released. So $300 seems a reasonable price, but I can't be sure. So let me know down in the comments how much this used to cost when it was new. Anyway, so it's a QWERTY keypad device, as you can see. Let's have a quick go around of the device. So it's going to be hard with the barrel charger plugged in because the battery is weak. So we have up front, we have the QWERTY keypad, the 5-way scroll key with a button. We have the E71 branding, front camera, which is VGA, a bunch of sensors. There's a crack on the glass there. It's quite reflective, and this one is not that badly scratched up. On this side, we have the volume buttons and this other, I'm not really sure what that button is. Those are definitely the volume buttons. This may be some other quick settings button. Headphone jack. So this is a 2.5 millimeter. This is not 3.5 millimeter. It's 2.5 millimeter, and there's something inside there. I should get that out later. At the bottom, the smaller barrel charger, the slimmer barrel charger, I've plugged it in now. That's where it charges. On this side, there used to be a flap, I believe. The flap is no longer there. We got micro SD expansion. So we have the micro SD expansion slot, micro USB port, and there's an LED that indicate, well, is that an LED? Well, no, I'm not sure if that's an LED or is that a reset button of some sort. It's some sort of button. Can't really say, but some sort of button. This is definitely some sort of antenna housing like thing there. At the top, we have a cutout for, I think it's a speaker. Yeah, the speaker is up here. And then we have the power button here. At the back, metal. This part is metal. The battery housing is metal. The rest is plastic. We got a 3.2 megapixel autofocus camera over here, and a flash, and then this thing is just there for the looks. It doesn't really have a function. 3.5 megapixel camera, pretty decent camera for its day. It has a single flash as well, and the camera is over here. There's some scratching as well. Not too bad of a condition, this phone. This one is in pretty worse condition, I'd say. But it still works too. Anyway, that was a quick go around of the device itself. I almost forgot to mention this phone came in 4 colors. So this color is the gray steel, so gray plus the steel color. At the back they mentioned steel color being the battery door color, the metal. So this is gray steel. There was one white steel as well with white colors up and down and the front and the steel back. as well as black and red. The black and red ones also had the steel back, I believe. I can't really remember, but the steel back, I believe, is universal. These colors were all professional colors, as you can see here. Nothing too shiny, nothing too flashy. Professional looking colors for a business phone. So I'd like to take this time to remind you to hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying the content. 60% of my viewers are not subscribed, so it would help me a lot if you hit that subscribe button to show support to the channel. Also, don't forget to hit that like button to show like towards this video if you're already liking the content. Also, check out my social media down in the description below. And now let's discuss the rest of the features on the Nokia E71. So the display on this thing is a 2.36 inch TFT LCD screen. So 2.36 inches TFT LCD technology. It's 320 by 240 pixels and has a aspect ratio of 4:3 and a pixel density of 170 pixels per inch. So a decent screen for the time, nothing major, nothing too bad, nothing too great either. Back in the day, no one really cared about display technology. As long as it looked good, they were fine with it. Displays were not the main selling point back in the day. It was more of the software and the apps and stuff like that. So like I said, 2.36 inches TFT LCD technology. 320 by 240 pixels, 4:3 aspect ratio, 170 pixels per inch. So in terms of software, the E71 is obviously running Symbian 9.2, Symbian OS 9.2, and it is Series 60. It can go up to version 3.1. Let's check exactly what it's running, but I don't think this phone will let me know exactly which version. I'm pretty sure it'll tell me the date. Let me, how does that go? So star hash 0000 hash. So there we are. Version in 2010. So version 2010 could be 3.1. I'm not really sure. There may be one more update for this. I can't really tell for sure. However, that is the last update this phone got in 2010. It is RM357, the model number, and Nokia E71-2. I believe the -2 is for this network. What is this network anyway? Let me know down in the comment section what this network is. I'm not really sure. It could be AT&T, or I'm not sure. I can't really tell. But the -2 is probably for that network, or it's just a general variation of the Nokia E71. So now let's move on to the processor in this thing. So it's a 369 megahertz ARM11 processor. So 369 megahertz, not too powerful, not too weak for the time. It was a decent processing speed. Again, it's a QWERTY phone. It's not entirely a smartphone. So it didn't really have to be too powerful back in the day. But 369 megahertz is more than decent for what this phone did back in the day, for what its purpose was. And again, it's an ARM11. It has a micro SD expansion slot to around, I believe, 16 gigs, but it could be 8 gigs, I'm not really sure. It has an internal memory of 110 megabytes, and it has 128 megs of RAM. So pretty decent specs for a QWERTY phone, but then again, it was 2008, so you couldn't really expect much, and it did the job it had to do more than perfectly, because like I said, this was a higher end expensive phone, and it was one of the best reviewed phones of its time, and if not the best business phone of 2008, if not for the E72, I believe. But anyway, those were the software and the internal hardware specifications. So now let's discuss the camera on this phone. And the camera on this phone is a pretty decent camera for its time. 3.2 megapixel autofocus camera. The camera is right here. Single LED flash. This thing is for aesthetics. It does not have a purpose. It's just a silver blob. So 3.2 megapixel autofocus, single LED flash. It can record video at 320p at 15 fps. The camera and the video performance are pretty okay. Again, this was a business phone. Its main selling points were its software features, its excellent battery life, and its all its business related features, connectivity, etc., etc. So the camera was not a main focus on this phone. However, the camera is decent, and it does the job well. The front camera, as you can see here, yes, that's a front camera. It's not a sensor. A lot of people thought that was a sensor, but no, it's a front camera. It's a VGA front camera. Now, here's the reason why a lot of people thought it was a sensor. Because if you go into the camera application, there's no way to turn it on. You cannot access that camera. So this is one of those weird phones. Like I covered a few days ago, the Nokia N9, a couple of years later, though it has a front camera, you can't access it, and it only could be accessed where a few via a few apps and like video calling, like Skype and stuff. If you just want to take a selfie, you have to download a third-party application. So let me show you here. There's no way to get into the front camera. Nope, no way at all. The only way I know to get into the front camera is with an application called Camera FX. But since I can't access the OV store on this anymore, I have to use the computer to install it. And when you use the computer to install it, you get that certificate error. And you got to sign the certificate manually using another application, but that's going to take a while. And it still does get that error. And there's like this huge fix. Well, it's not that long, but I don't really have the time today to be dealing with that. So I'll install the Camera FX application another time for another video, but for now I could not get Camera FX to work on this because it keeps giving me either certificate expired or certificate error, some form of error, invalid certificate. There we go. So that was the front camera, simple VGA camera. I'll show it to you guys in another video. There's no way I can access it right now. That camera installation takes a while for Camera FX. But anyway, here are some samples from the rear 3.2 megapixel shooter. And as you can see, they're pretty decent. They were, I'd say, average, above average for their time. Like I said, again, this phone's main selling points were not its camera. It was more of a business phone, battery life, connectivity, software, etc., etc. But the camera is pretty decent, as you can see. The colors are, well, with relevance to 2008, they're pretty accurate, I'd say. Again, with relevance or with respect to 2008, they're pretty decent, but in terms of real life, they're not. But, you know, you can see pretty okay looking images. Now here's some video sample. Here's a video sample from the rear camera shot at 320p at 15 FPS. Here it is. So that was the camera, those were the camera samples for the Nokia E71. Now let's move on to all the other features of this phone. So being a business phone, this thing, like I said, was packed with software features and an excellent battery life that I'll talk about in a bit. So software features of this phone, of course, it had a document editor, so it could edit Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and PDF files. I can't find that editor anymore, so the previous owner probably deleted it. It's not even under Application Manager, but it could edit Word files, Excel files, PowerPoint, and PDF files as well. It also had the mobile version of MS Office 2007 via a free software update later on in its life. And it basically, you could download any other application to edit documents from the OV store. This thing supported all of them because its main purpose, again, was business, communication, etc., etc. And in terms of hardware, it had Wi-Fi. Obviously, business phone requires Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 2.0, GPS, Nokia Maps. It also had radio, and it has a micro USB 2.0 port here, but sadly no USB charge. You can only charge it with the barrel charger. It had an organizer, and you could directly print off this phone. If you can connect to the Bluetooth printer, you could connect to a Bluetooth printer, and not a lot of printers were Bluetooth at the time, but if you could get one of those, this phone can print straight through the printer. I'm recording this portion a bit later at night to show you this breathing light effect that you get on the center of the selection button here, the center circle of the selection button. Well, it's almost a square, it's not a circle, but this is a notification light. As you can see, it shows you that you have unread notifications, emails, messages, whatever. You can also press it like that and the screen kind of goes a bit off. I think that's an issue with the phone, the screen is not supposed to do that. If you press it like that, the light also comes on. Let me do that again. As you can see, I don't know why the screen does that. I think it's just because this phone is old and there's something's wrong. I don't know, it's not supposed to do that, but when you press this, the light shows up as well. But when you leave it like that, it breathes at 5-second intervals to show you that you have a notification. So it's just a neat thing that I just want to show you guys. Let's talk battery now. Let me turn this over. This thing has a 1500 milliamp hour battery. If I can get this open, the latches have seen better days because they've kind of gone in. So it's a 1500 milliamp hour BP4L battery. So BP4L Nokia battery, 1500 milliamp hours, 3.7 volts. So to put that in perspective, the iPhone 5S from 2013 had a 1580 milliamp hour battery, and the 5S had a touchscreen, 4G, all that stuff. This thing is a QWERTY phone with a small display, no touchscreen, nothing like that. Imagine the battery life on this phone with an identical battery to the iPhone 5S with 3G, and you can switch to 2G as well if you like. This thing had an amazing battery life, and the reviews on Google say so. The official test results for this thing's battery is around 410 hours of standby on 2G and about 490 hours on standby on 3G. Talk time, that means straightforward talk time, was about 10 hours and 30 minutes on 2G, and on 3G it was around 5 hours of talk time as well. So excellent battery life in terms of talk time and standby time, and multimedia performance varied, but the music play time was around 17 to 18 hours of direct music play time. So again, excellent battery life. Like I put it in perspective, the iPhone 5S, identical battery. This thing had battery life for days. If you were a medium user and you stuck with 2G, your battery life will be around 3 days roughly. So excellent battery life, but that is obviously expected with a phone like the E71, which is a business phone, and it's already geared for long trips and long business meetings, etc, etc. So finally, that's it for this video, and I thank you for watching this retro review of the Nokia E71. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please consider hitting that like button. And if you enjoyed it even more, if you think I deserve the subscribe, please consider hitting that subscribe button, as it helps me out a lot. And don't forget to check out all the other videos I have in my Vintage Tech Showcase playlist, and all of the other videos that I do on my channel, which includes repairs, reviews, unboxings, etc, etc. So go ahead and check out my channel. And if you like what you see, please consider hitting that subscribe button, thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in my next video.